Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Ryan Nordahl here, Epic Whitetail Habitat LLC. Boy, if you're like me, I'm sure you probably love hunting over a green food source or hunting in a transition area between bedding area and that green food source. But what if you're not in ag country? I know many of my clients are in the northern tier of states, and there's not a lot of ag around a lot of my client properties. And I'm sure many of you can probably relate to this, just not a lot of ag in the immediate area. And here in the upper Midwest and parts of all of the Midwest really are experiencing exceptional drought here this year. We haven't had measurable amount of rain here at my place since around the middle of August. 14th of August, I believe, was our last measurable rainfall. And it's been extremely hot, extremely dry. Now today we have a nice cold front coming through. Our trail cameras are lighting up like crazy and it's exciting. I'm getting excited for it. But our green food sources that we've planted for specifically for deer are starting to dry up. Now fortunately, yes, I'm fortunate enough that I live in ag country. You know, there's farm fields out here, there's plenty of corn, plenty of beans, but those are drying up too, and a lot of them are coming off. What happens come November, December, when those food sources are gone? Yeah, we have clover and alfalfa that deer can get through, you know, to help get the deer through till next spring. In those clover and alfalfa fields, yeah, there might be a scattering of soybean seed or corn kernels out in the cornfields and stuff. Browse. A big focus is woody browse. It can be created, or you look for those areas, whether it was an old clear cut, hunting along those edges of an old clear cut that meets a hardwoods or a pine plantation, what have you, but anything that has a definite edge. You can see off in the fields behind me here, there's a fence line back here to the south of me here behind me. Deer will transition along that. There's plenty of woody browse in that fence line. Those are the kind of things that you got to look for. What other food sources are out there? You know, I always recommend to clients too to have some fruit trees, to have some other hard mass producing trees other than acorns. Yeah, it's great to go out and scout for acorns, you know, where there's a lot of white oaks. I really think that deer prefer a white oak over a red oak, and it's not to say that deer won't eat a red oak acorn, but boy, if you've got a good little grove of white oaks on your property, man, you're going to really want to focus on them if you're facing drought conditions like we are here in this part of Wisconsin this year. You know, it's getting us back to the basics of what hunting is really about. Getting out, scouting, finding these areas. Hey, if you have a water source, especially if you have a water tub like I recommend, at least 100 gallons or more, where you're not going in, disturbing the hunting that often, trying to refill a small, 50-gallon drum that's cut in half, got that in the ground. Now, yes, some water's better than nothing, I get that, but the more often we're going in and filling those tanks, especially during the hunting season, the more we're pushing that mature buck that we're after out of the area. He's not going to tolerate that. Well, I see does and fawns and young bucks all the time. Yeah, that's great, fine, and dandy, you probably do. But that mature buck, I find that the older I get, the less and less I like to be disturbed by the wife and kids. I'm going to say it, I like to be alone. So does that mature buck. But focusing on those kinds of things, woody browse being very important, fruit trees, be it apples, crab apples. Crab apples late in the wintertime, great late season hunting opportunity. I've been on some public ground where there's been some winter crab, and boy, I can tell that those areas have been highly overlooked. I remember being on a piece of public ground pretty close to here where I live a couple years ago. We were coming out of there, we were on a coyote hunt that afternoon, or that morning, and we were coming out of the woods, and not 50 yards off the road was a wintering crab apple tree. Now, when were those deer hitting it? Were they hitting it late at night? Or were they hitting it during the day? I don't know. I didn't have a trail camera set up on it. But I can almost guarantee you probably would have killed a buck there, but because it wasn't getting that much hunting pressure. But you know, get out and scout. Find out where the deer are, you know, in drought conditions like that. Focus on where they're going to. Where are they going? Why are they going there? And maybe set up. If the wind direction, primary wind directions allow for a great setup and it allows for great access and egress out of there, go ahead and set up a stand in those locations. You got to think outside the box, because it poses the question, have we become, us private landowners, have we become too dependent on green food sources that we cultivate on our properties for the hunting season? Have we become too dependent on those types of situations? I think we have. We've gotten away from the basics of what hunting is supposed to mean and all about. We have to be hunters, not just people who hunt. You got to get out, use your skills, and, you know, the skills that go back way back into ancient times. Doing the scouting, putting in your time. Now, the great advantage is, especially with cell cams like Tacticam reveals, like I like to run, it makes a whole world of difference when it comes to scouting. I'm putting my cameras on water holes. Mock scrapes. Mock scrapes is another one. It's probably the simplest, cheapest, and easiest way to attract a buck that there is. And I'm got a stand, you know, I'll back that up. At every stand location, I have at least one mock vine, if not two, for different wind directions, or if I have a multitude of trail systems, especially right where they come together, I'll have a mock vine there. But if there's others that branch out and those trails come together, I'm going to have a mock scrape around there too. 1 or 2 mock scrapes, 3 mock scrapes around the stand location, oh my God. Because the key is to waste as much of that deer's time while he's on your property as possible. But we have to think outside the box in these kind of drought conditions. Yeah, we can go back in yet. There's still plenty of time here. We're right at the beginning of September. There's still plenty of time to get some rye on the ground if there's rain in the forecast. But boy, what happens if there ain't no rain in the forecast coming forward, guys? We start getting toward November and there's been no rain in the forecast. What good is that rye doing sitting on top of the ground other than feeding the birds and the turkeys and whatever else, you know, that'll pick up seeds off the ground like that? So you got to think outside the box. So I hope you found this video helpful going into the season if you're experiencing dry conditions like we are here in the upper Midwest, in this part of Wisconsin in particular. Again, we haven't seen rain in a prolonged period of time. We're praying for rain, guys, and I hope you are too, wherever you are, or whatever the conditions may exist in your hunting area. But good luck this season. Keep living the dream, and as always, God bless you all. Thanks for joining me.